Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear
that I will execute the office of President to the United States faithfully.
that I will execute
Faithfully, the office of President of the United
office of
States.
President of the United States faithfully,
And will, to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
It's a historic day for the View. We are honored to welcome the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama. Well, we hope so. But you know, you've gone through a little bit of a beating the last month. Do you really think that being on the show with a bunch of women, 5 women, who never shut up, is going to be calming?
That is the look. I was trying to find a show that Michelle actually watched, and so I thought that all those news shows. She's like, let me get a clicker.
Have you ever watched us?
Of course.
No kidding.
Of course. Well, this is the second time I've been on now.
That's right. That doesn't mean you have to watch it.
Third time,
President.
You did the book first. I wasn't here, but I heard. You did the book first, and then when you were running, and now, sir, here you are as president of the United States.
Last time you came to the
I was explaining that these couches are made for these little people, and so if you're a little taller, you kind of have to settle in a little bit.
Just settle.
He looks settled.
But you know, we said that this has been a kind of difficult time for you between oil and questions of racism and Afghanistan and a few other little things. We understand that you sit at night with your daughters and your wife and you do the rose and the thorn, right? You still do it?
We still do it,
Okay.
although Malia's now at camp and Sasha's away at a friend's house, so it's just me and Michelle.
We'll do it for you.
Go ahead.
In the last month, what has been the rose and what has been the thorn?
Well, in the last month, the rose has to be a couple of days we took in Maine with Michelle and Sasha and Malia. And we went on bike rides and hikes. And, the girls are getting old enough now where they're not quite teenagers yet, so they still like you. But they're full of opinions and ideas and observations, and it's just a great age. Malia just turned 12 and Sasha just turned 9.
Wow.
And it couldn't have been a better couple of days.
Thorn.
Well, where do I begin here? No, look, obviously the country's gone through a tough stretch since I took office. When I was sworn in, I know you showed the inauguration. We were losing at that time 750,000 jobs per month. The economy was shrinking at a pace of about 6.5%, which is unheard of since the Great Depression. And so the last 20 months has been a nonstop effort to restart the economy, to stabilize the financial system, to make sure that we're creating jobs again instead of losing them. And in the midst of all that, we've also had the oil spill. We've also had 2 wars. We've also had a pandemic, H1N1, that we had to manage, and a whole host of other issues. What has been gratifying is the fact that the economy now is starting to stabilize and grow again. And what's been satisfying is just seeing how resilient the American people are. As much as you said it's been tough for me, the truth is it's not tough for me. I mean, I've got people, pundits on the news who may say things about me, but of course, but you think what the American people have gone through, losing jobs, seeing their home values go down, their 401ks declining, I mean, those are the folks who I draw inspiration from because I get letters every night from them, and I read them, and as tough as it's been, they remain hopeful, they remain optimistic about America, and so I don't spend a lot of time worrying about me. I spend a lot of time worrying about them.
The one thorn, the biggest thorn this past month.
Well, the reason it's hard to answer is the things that the media may focus on are not necessarily the things I focus on. I have to sign letters to parents of children who've been killed in Afghanistan, or the husbands or wives of people who've been killed in battle. And that gives you a sense of perspective that is just different from what is going on cable TV on any given day.
But can I follow up on something?
Yeah.
Because, you've really done a lot, I think. I mean, you signed 200 plus laws into being since you're in office.
Right.
You have financial reform has taken place. You got a health care. I mean, you've put 2 women on the Supreme Court. I could go on and on about your accomplishments. And yet the right wing, through Fox News and other outlets, they seem to be hijacking the narrative. Where on your side is the narrative? Where is your attack dog to come out and tell the American people, listen, this is what we did?
Boy, that's your job. Let me say this: when times are tough, as they have been, naturally there's going to be a political argument that's going on out there, and I volunteered for this job, and politics is not beanbag. I mean, politics is a contact sport, and you expect people going at you. And well, the one thing that does frustrate me sometimes is the sense that we shouldn't be campaigning all the time. There's a time to campaign, and then there's a time to govern. And what we've tried to do over the last 20 months is to govern. So on health care or on financial reform, right now we've got a big debate about how we can get small businesses more credit because they really generate more jobs than anybody else. And when you feel as if every single initiative that we're doing is subject to Washington politics instead of, is this good for the country, that can be frustrating. But having said that, look, there are legitimate differences to be had between the parties. I'm not perfect. My administration's not perfect. And a lot of this criticism I try to listen to, and if I think it's fair, then we try to correct it. Now, some of it, I'll grant you, Joy, I tend not to think is fair.
That's right.
Michelle doesn't think any of it's fair.
No. I want to ask you about the country, too, because,
Sure.
Seeing you here, and it truly is an honor to have you here as the President of the United States, it does seem as though we are a very divided states of America right now on so many issues. And I think even those who did not vote for you felt a hope that there would be a uniting factor when you took office. Are you frustrated that this country still feels so divided and you have not been able yet to bring that unity?
Look, I think that right after the election, there was a sense of hopefulness and unity. I think at the time people didn't understand how bad the economic crisis was going to be. And as a consequence, I think that the politics of the economic recovery, the steps we had to take to make sure that the banking system didn't collapse, what we had to do for the auto industry so that didn't collapse, a lot of those became controversial. And unfortunately, we live at a time when a lot of times people are thinking about the next election instead of the next generation. My hope is that I've tried to set a tone in the debate that says, look, we can disagree without being disagreeable.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that the media culture right now loves conflict. And if there's a story about cooperation between the two parties, that story doesn't make the news. What makes the news is somebody who says something as outlandish or outrageous as possible. That's what gets focused on. And I think, frankly, the American people would rather hear a civil debate, but that's not what they're getting a lot of times.
Mr. President, we have Shirley Sherrod,
Right.
who was the USDA official, who was fired over this racially charged clip that was taken out of context. It was posted on a blog. When you took office, I think a lot of people thought that we were going to get beyond race, but it seems like every single day it's something racially charged. Do you think that we are still America is racist?